Welcome to the Create What You Speak podcast. Join me as we have a real-life discussion on how to change your life by changing your thoughts. Remember, question everything, trust yourself, and find your truth. Welcome to the Create What You Speak podcast. My name is Sloan Fremont, and I'm your host.
This is a show where we talk about how to change our lives by changing our thoughts. If you've been around this show for any length of time, you know that each week I like to bring to you different ideas, different perspectives, different examples from my own life of what I've used and what others have used in order to really start to make that shift from a current state that maybe someone isn't happy with, or as I've shared in my life, places that I've been that I haven't been happy with, and how to realistically and, really with purpose, start to do things different in our lives so that we get different results. And so this week, I want to share some examples from my own life and actually from a few of my friends' lives. And I want to talk about changing that piece where we change our focus to get what we want. And then I also want to talk about the other side of that after we get the thing that we want, the inner work doesn't really stop there, right? There's still inner work to do. It's just different now because we're in a different reality because we've got the thing that we wanted, that we worked so hard to get. So I want to share some examples with you. I think you're going to really find these to be hopefully inspiring and also really start to pay attention in your own life. If this has come up for you, if you're struggling with something, or if again, you're feeling like this isn't working, my goal today is to give you a different perspective, give you different thoughts and different ways to approach things in your own lives. So before I get into that, I want to just remind you of a couple things. As always, if you haven't signed up for my newsletter, please go to my website, sloanfremont.com. And over on the right-hand side, you're going to see the little box where you can input your name. And that's where you get on the newsletter list. I send one email out a week about that. And anything else that I have coming up that's where I'm going to be sending it out. So please be sure and sign up for that. And let's see, the other thing, if we're not connected on social media, I would really love to do that. So in the show notes, if you're listening to the audio or if you're watching the video, at the bottom of anything that I post is always all the links to my social media. So if we're not connected there, please pause the video, pause the audio, go ahead and let's get connected there, especially on my Telegram channel. I tend to, for whatever reason, I think out of convenience, I tend to share more on the Telegram channel. So let's get connected there and let's stay in touch. And that's also a great place if you have questions about any of the episodes or you want to suggest anything for the future. That's the best way to connect with me. So be sure to do that before we go on. All right, so let's talk about today's topic of, I'm calling this episode feeling like you're making it up, or feeling like someone's going to take it away from you, because that's actually where when I was thinking about this, what I wanted to talk about today. But as I thought about this and I was making my notes up, I thought, well, there is a step before that we need to talk about too, to make sure that the whole picture is put together and so that it makes sense. So I want to first talk about this piece of changing our focus to get what we want. Okay, so if you listen to this show, there's 5 years of content where we've talked about this. You can go back and listen to pretty much any of my previous episodes, and I've talked about this in some form or fashion about changing our focus to get what we want. And at a high level, I'm not going to get too far into that today because there are a lot of episodes where I go into way more detail. But at a high level, when we start to change what we're focused on, we're going to get different results. It's very simple, simplistic way to put it. But if we're not focused, let's take something negative. Right? If we're taking our focus away from something negative and we're looking at something more positive or something that makes us happy or excited, our whole mood change, our outlooks change, our energy level changes, even our energetic imprint in the world changes because we're focused in more of a high vibing feeling kind of situation there when we're feeling like that. So when we're focusing on what it is that we want, we're giving the universe instructions. We're telling the universe, I know all the things that I don't want right now, and I've sifted through that all, and I've, went through it in my mind, and now I've focused on these things because these are the things that I want. And I'm going to start thinking about these things every day instead of all the negative stuff that I know that I don't want. And so we start to give the universe instructions. We're giving the universe direction. We're pointing our own self in a direction that we want to go. And if you've been following me on Telegram, you know I've been talking recently about vision boards. And again, when I started like thinking about vision boards again. I was like, Jesus, like so like high school or so like, the year 2000 with these, like, aren't these like done to death? And then I was like, well, maybe they're not, right? They're around because they work, and you can do all kinds of things with them. And you can, there's a lot more to it than just placing pictures on a piece of paper, in my opinion. But again, I'm going to speak just at a high level today, just for the sake of the topic and the time. I am working on something in the future that's going to go really deep into vision boarding, how to do it, how to get your mind, how to start dreaming bigger so that you can create that vision that you want. So that's a side note for another day. I don't have all the full details of that yet, but stay tuned on that one. So when we're thinking about focusing on what we want and using vision boards force us to sit down, to think about what it is that we want, and give visual representations of those things that we want. And if we keep those vision boards around our house, on our phone, on wherever we're spending most of our time, we start to see it repeatedly. We start to see it regularly, and we start to see the things like it's in more of the forefront of our mind, right? When we're constantly paying attention to it and looking at it. We're directing our mind, we're directing our energy of where we want to go towards something that we want. And when we're, again, focused on the negative, it's very easy for those thoughts to just pick up, because most of us have those grooves, those patterns of negativity. And so when the negativity, it's easier for that to be on autopilot. So it takes a little more effort in the beginning with thinking about what you do want. And that's another reason why I love vision boarding, because it's a visual representation. You can look at it, you can see it. You don't have to sit there and, write a bunch of notes every day if you don't want to. You don't have to. It doesn't take a lot of time. Once you've created your vision board, it's like, here it is. This is what I want. And this is what I'm going to spend my time focusing on. So I wanted to share a couple of examples from my own vision board. And I talked about one of these, but I haven't told you guys about the other two and how this all unfolded. So this is actually really exciting to tell you about. So back in, I believe it was the beginning of July, I had started this again with vision boarding, and I put a car on there that I wanted. Okay. And I've told this story. So if you've heard this, it'll just take a second, but for those who haven't heard it, I want to make sure that you hear the story. I had on my vision board that I wanted this particular car. I had been to some of the dealerships. They were telling me it's going to be 3 to 6 months. We're short on inventory. You have to put it on. You have to order it. One place was trying to get me to pay $5,000 extra for the car just to be able to order it. And I was like, no, I'm not paying an extra $5,000 for this car. So I came home, went through, okay, what it is that what I wanted, how much I wanted to pay, what features did I want in the car, all of this stuff, right? And I think it was a week later, I had the car, and basically all I did was put it on my vision board. And the series of events that happened was my mom had been to a car dealership that they regularly take their cars to, and she had to get an oil change. She was talking to the salesman. She had told him I'd been looking for a car, but wasn't having any luck. And he said, well, let me look. And he did some research. Long story short, he ended up trading for another vehicle through the dealership and got the car that I wanted, the exact car that I wanted, to that dealership. And I picked the car up a week later. So what I love about this story is I didn't do anything. All I did was put the car on my vision board and decide what it is that I wanted. And my mom happened to be talking to someone at the dealership who decided, let me look this up. Yes, we can get this car. Let me get it on order. And she had told me about this, and I was like, yeah, he's probably not going to be able to get it. These cars, no dealership has these right now, so whatever, he's probably not going to be able to get it. But he did. He got the car a week later. And in this story, and I want to share a couple other examples, but this story with this, and what I love about how this works once you start doing this and you start picking up momentum with this, is it becomes almost effortless, because the hard work almost is in the decision. It's deciding what it is that you want. And from there, once you let go and just kind of let the universe do its thing, it's amazing the things that show up in your life. Okay, so let me give you two other examples. All right, so this would have been on August 9th. Okay, today that I'm recording this is September 11th, 2022. And the day I put this on my vision board was, I have it up here above me when I'm looking up here if you're watching me on the video. I had this on my vision board on August 9th, 2022. I had on my vision board a specific engagement ring that I wanted. I had for my boyfriend and I that I wanted us to be Mr. and Mrs. I had some other things about the house that I wanted us to live in and all this kind of stuff. But my boyfriend and I at this point we had been kind of talking about getting kind of talking about it, getting married, but we hadn't made any plans. I didn't know if it was going to happen. I wasn't sure. We weren't sure, with living where we were going to live, how that was going to work. We weren't sure of any of this. There was nothing here that led me to believe that, yes, I'm going to get these things. Like it's hard for me to even think back because it wasn't even that long ago and the pace that things have been since then. But we were really not at a point where we were saying we knew what we were going to do. It was all still theory, maybe it's going to be like this. Okay. So put it on my vision board, had a specific engagement ring that I wanted, said that I wanted us to be Mr. and Mrs., had this idea of this house that I want us to live in. And on September 3rd, he asked me to marry him with the exact ring that I wanted. And I'm telling you, the way this happened, once I made the decision, it was like, then things got in motion, right? Things started, he started asking me, okay, well, what do you think about this? Okay, I'm thinking about moving there with you. How do you feel about that? Okay, yeah, let's do that, right? And we had these conversations, all this thing got in motion. And I talk about this when I moved to Nashville, like everyone got information. Things just got information for me to work out. And I remember going through that time I'm feeling like this right now, like momentum is picking up. Things are happening. Like I had somebody contacted me about buying my house and it isn't even on the market. And so all of these things are happening like because I made the decision, because I just decided this is what I wanted. And that was what I focused on. And so we got engaged on September 3rd. And now, we've been talking about different things, and now our plan is to get married at the end of the month. We just want to do a small wedding, just him and I. And when we get our house, then we're going to have the bigger, reception later with all our friends and family. But that makes 3 things: the car, the engagement, and getting married at the end of the month when this happens. That's 3 things out of 6 on my vision board that I wanted. And I'm just telling you like how crazy in my mind this is, that these things were none of these things were like in the works that I was going to get these things. Like, it wasn't like I'm putting things on my vision board that I know I'm going to get, or that trying to get myself easy wins, or trying to get myself easy, like, well, I'll just put this on the vision board because I know this is going to happen. No, I didn't have any clue to how any of this was going to happen. I didn't know if it was going to happen. And like, it's happening, right? All of these things are happening. So I'm sharing this story with you because you can do this too. Like, you can do this very same thing in your own life. All you have to do is make the decision to do it. Make the decision to start focusing on the things that you want, and take the time for yourself to actually sit down and think about these things that you want. Write them out. Decide how you want your days to go. Decide how you want to feel when you're, in your new life, when you get these things that you want. All of these kinds of things. And as I've said, I've got years of episodes on this, talking about this very thing in specific detail. I also, if you go to createwhatyouspeak.com, onto my Create What You Speak Academy, I have so many tools on there to help you with all of this stuff. So I'm telling you this stuff because this stuff works. This works, and you can do it too. There's nothing different about me, nothing different at all. The only thing is I did it. I did it, and I stuck with it. And I'm here to tell you the story about it. So that first part of getting focused on what we want is absolutely key, right? Because that's where everything comes from. If we don't know what we want, we don't know what we're going to get, right? We're just kind of wandering around. But then the other side of that is when we get the thing that we want, it then requires us to update our focus to our new reality, right? So let me give you an example of what I mean. So let's say with the car example, or let's actually say with the engagement example, that's a little easier. So when I'm having on my vision board, right, when I put it on there, I looked at all the rings. I decided what ring I wanted. I was thinking about how do I want the engagement to go? How do I want him to ask me? Where do I want us to be? What do I want that to look like, right? How does that feel for me? And I'm actually getting in that state. Like, I'm getting in that future state of myself who's experiencing that, right? And so now that I have the engagement ring and we're getting married and I know that's happening, I'm obviously not still focused on getting the engagement ring, right? Because I've already had that. I got that thing that I wanted. So now I shift my focus into my new reality. Okay, I'm engaged, right? We're getting married. This is real. So how do I want the wedding to go? How do I want our days to be together now that we're living together? How do I want how do I want my interaction to be? What kind of person do I want to be when I show up for him, right? Do I want to be stressed out, frustrated, upset, like frantic? No, I want to be calm and centered and peaceful. I want to be happy. I want to be like excited that we're together finally and we're doing this, right? Excited about our future. All this kind of like like future visioning of what you want it to be. Like, how do you want to feel, and how do